In this video, we'll learn some new exclamations and Boolean adverbs. By the end of this video, you should plan to be able to write down all of your exclamations and Boolean adverbs from memory. Remember that one time when Joel came to the marketplace and he ran into the fountain and got his head stuck in the large hole? Well, at that time he said hola as a greeting. But he doesn't usually like saying hello to this hole. In fact, he often just says goodbye to it. Now, to remind himself that he doesn't want to get his head stuck in here, Joel paints some circles on the stone as a warning not to get stuck in these odd O's. In general, he's very susceptible to getting his head stuck in things because his head is shaped like the letter O, so he draws these odd O's on things to remind himself to leave that thing alone. Now, the term odd O's represents the word adios, which means goodbye to Joel. So the hole itself in the stone on the statue represents hola, but the circles painted around it represent adios, which is goodbye. We store other exclamations here at the fountain as well. Previously, Joel said oh here, and this so-called word is extremely simple, and it's used pretty much exactly the same way in Spanish as it is in English. There are other words just like this as well. For example, hey and okay, which are spelled exactly the same in Spanish and in English. And then there's ay. That one is ay, and it's one of Joel's favorite things to say when he's gotten hurt. He doesn't usually say ow, he says ay. Now below the hole, we've seen that the word bueno is depicted as another exclamation. Now this particular exclamation, bueno, is generally used as a filler word, and it's used generally when Joel is thinking. So for example, all right, we're going to do this would be bueno, we're going to do this. Another filler word that's kind of like that is pues. This word is used at the beginnings of phrases just like bueno, but it's a little less positive. It's more equivalent to the English word well. So you could say, well, let's do it this way, or pues, let's do it this way. Now, to represent this word, Joel has painted a wastebasket to represent the stressed syllable wes around the word bueno. So again, both bueno and pues are often used as meaningless filler words at the beginning of a sentence. Let's keep going. We actually have several more exclamations to learn here at the fountain. Remember that here below the statue, there's a patch of grass that represents the word gracias, which means thanks or thank you. This is where we're going to keep some exclamatory words that Joel often uses all by themselves instead of complete sentences. Today, a living doll is standing on the left side of the grass. The doll looks like it wants to walk across the grass, but it's hesitant. Maybe it feels a little guilty about the idea of trampling down the grass. Joel tells the doll, "Go ahead, it's fine." To say this, Joel says, dale, which basically means sure or go ahead. But the doll responds to Joel, "There's a giant claw in the grass. I don't want to hurt my feet on it." Joel looks and he sees the sharp claw sticking out of the grass. Joel says, "Oh, of course, got it." The word claro is used as a positive exclamation to mean of course, or I got it. Now on the right side of the grass, opposite the dolly, is a stop sign made of pasta. The sign says basta. The word basta means stop or that's enough. It's normally used out of anger, and in some ways it's the opposite of dale. So go ahead, do it would be dale, hazlo. But stop, I don't want it, would be basta, no lo quiero. Meanwhile, standing on a ledge above the grass, there's another doll. This one looks like a man, and he's bowing slightly and holding his hat out, saying, "Pardon me, madam." The hat that he's holding out is painted the colors of the sunrise or the dawn. So the exclamation perdón, with a stress on dawn, means sorry or pardon me. Now let's quickly review these words. Dale on the left side of the grass. Gracias claro, hidden in the grass, basta on the right side, and perdón right above them and hanging down. Try to remember where they are and what they mean, and you'll soon be able to use them easily in a conversation since they're just simply used by themselves. Claro, perdón, etc. Now, the statue itself, whom Joel calls Tom and imagines that it says boo, has several new Boolean words for us today. Remember that on the statue's face, we store words that are exchangeable with sí, which means yes or indeed. But on the ground behind the statue, we have words that are exchangeable with no, which means not. Let's start with Tom's head. Since nobody takes care of the statue very frequently, stuff grows on it. In the statue's hair, there's growing a proliferation of mint leaves. These mint leaves store two useful words, realmente and exactamente. As you might have guessed, realmente means really, and exactamente means exactly. They're very similar to English words, but in each case, the stress is on the syllable that sounds kind of like mint. Realmente. Exactamente. On the statue's face, we've already learned the words hasta, también, and solo, which can be used before a true sentence, just like sí and exactamente can be used before a true sentence. But they can also be used before a noun, like even the house and also the house. We have one more word to learn on the statue's face, and it belongs in the statue's mouth. Remember that Joel found money in Tom's ears. Now Joel peers into the stone mouth, but he's disappointed to find it completely empty. In fact, the statue's mouth is so empty that it doesn't even have any air in it. Joel says, "I thought that I would see something in the statue's mouth, at least some air." The word for at least is siquiera. So the stressed syllable is on air. So siquiera. For example, at least the house would be siquiera la casa. Further down on Tom's body, we have words that don't quite mean yes and don't quite mean no. On the neck of the statue hangs a price tag. Yeah, the statue itself is for sale. In fact, Joel almost bought it at one point, but the cost was just a bit too high for him. Joel's word for almost is casi, and so the stress is on cas, like cost. Let's keep moving down. We've seen previously that the word quizá, or quizás, in the statue's leg represents maybe. And then further down on the ground, we have the word no, which means no or not. We actually have a couple of other words that are negative. One is the word tampoco, which is essentially a synonym for no. This word has the stress on poke, because there are nails poking out of the bottom of the statue. Joel imagines that Tom is trying to poke people with these. Tampoco is often used to mean not at the beginning of a sentence. Other times, it's used to mean neither, as in me neither, or yo tampoco. In both cases, it's used like the word no. Another term for not is ni siquiera. Of course, we already learned the word siquiera in Tom's mouth to represent at least. But in reality, this word is more often used in a negative way with the word ni before it. Some people would almost even consider ni siquiera to be its own word, even though it's technically two words with a space in between, because siquiera is almost always used right after ni. The term ni siquiera means not even. So at the bottom of the statue, between the nails, is a small hole. Joel hopes to find something in this hole, but he finds nothing, not even air, or ni siquiera air. Let's look at some examples of these words. So for casi, which means almost, we could say, it's almost daytime. This would mean casi es de día.
Casi es de día.
Some ways to exchange this would be, it's not daytime, or tampoco es de día. Or maybe even, it's not even daytime. Ni siquiera es de día. Another example is this question. Do you even know where she is? That would be, siquiera you know dónde está?
¿Siquiera sabes dónde está?
We can trade out siquiera with some of our other new words. For example, do you really know where she is? ¿Realmente you know dónde está? Or maybe, you don't even know where she is? Ni siquiera you know dónde está? Or maybe, do you almost know where she is? Casi do you know dónde está? There's one more strange word to learn at the statue before we go to the stands themselves. Our friend, the statue, is holding a bucket that's pouring water into the fountain. This bucket is divided, and it pours the water in two streams. So Joel calls the division in the bucket a wall that separates the water. Now, this is a very simple device that we're using to store the word igual. So igual is a strange word. It can be used like the Boolean words that we've learned on this statue, but it's generally used at the very beginning of a sentence, kind of like the exclamations that we learned in the fountain below the statue. So it's a word that really stands on its own. The word igual means, but at the same time, sort of as a filler. So let's use an example. In English, you might hear someone say, but at the same time, I think I'll stay home. Or, but still, I think I'll stay home. That's how the word igual is used. Igual, I think I'll stay home. So here's a real-life example. At the same time, I think that there might be problems. So you'll hear, igual, I think que puede haber problemas.
Igual, creo que puede haber problemas.